This is the final lecture in our review before we dive into Algebra 1, adding and subtracting fractions. This is probably one of the hardest topics pre-algebra that people come across with. And actually, the hardest topic is the one before this, because if you can find the common denominator, then you can build up the fraction and add and subtract them. Because in order to add or subtract fractions, you need a common denominator. You can't add apples and oranges. But if you find the common thing, fruit, you can add fruit and say you have 2 apples and 3 bananas, and that's 5 fruit. But you cannot combine unlike items. And the same thing applies to fractions. So we're going to use what we did in the last lecture and just add one more step and add and subtract fractions. Let's do 1/2 plus 1/3. We'll keep it really simple here. And we found the common denominator in the previous lecture, but we can do it again because 2 and 3 have no common primes, because the prime factorization of 2 is 2 and the prime factorization of 3 is 3. So we multiply the unique factors. 2 times 3 is 6. So we're going to build both of these fractions up to 6. And 2 times what gives me 6? 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So let me write this over here so we're going to multiply this by 3 over 3 so that we get 6. So there's where 36 comes from. And 1/3, what are we going to multiply 3 by to get 6? 2. So if we multiply, we're going to multiply this by 2. And we're going to multiply this by 2 to get 6. 2/6. And now that we have a common denominator, we can add the numerators. 3 plus 2 is 5. And the 6 stays the common denominator. Now we can also subtract 1/2 minus 1/3. They're doing the same method. The only difference is instead of adding the numerators, we subtract them. And since we already found what those were, the difference of 1/2 and 1/3 is 3 minus 2, which is 1/6. Okay, let's try a little bit harder. Let's do 5/6 plus 5/8. Okay. So we need to find a common denominator here, and we're going to use prime factorizations. 8 is 2 cubed, so we're going to write 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, and 6 is 2 times 3. So 3 is used the most 3 times. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 is used the most 3 times, and 3 is used once. So the LCM is 2 cubed times 3, and 2 cubed here is 8, times 3 is 24. So we're going to build these fractions up to be 24. And I'm going to rewrite the fraction over here. Okay. So what do we multiply 6 by to get 24? We multiply that by 4. And what do we multiply 8 by to get 24? 3. Okay, so now we have 5 times 4 is 20 over 24, plus 5 times 3 is 15 over 24. And when we add those up, we get 35 over 24. And 24 is 8 times 3, and 35 is 5 times 7, so these have no common factors. But what we could do is we could divide 24 into 35 and see that it goes in once with a remainder of 11. So this would be also written as 1 and 11/35. Now sometimes this last step, going back into a mixed number, isn't always necessary, but it just depends on the problem and how it's given. And if it's multiple choice, then you definitely would probably go for whatever answer matches the multiple choice. Let's try another one. Let's try 11/15 minus 1/6. So we're going to subtract. 11/15 minus 1/6. So let's find 15 is 3 times 5, and 6 is 2 times 3. So we have 3 unique factors. We have 2. 2 is used the most once, so we're just going to call this LCM. 3 is used the most once, and 5 is used the most once. So the LCM is 2 times 3, which is 6, times 5, which is 30. So we're going to try to build these fractions up so that the least common multiple is 30. So what do I multiply 15 by to get 30? That would be 2. And what do I multiply 6 by to get 30? 6 times 5 is 30. So now we have 22 over 30 minus 5 over 30. And when we subtract that, we get 17 over 30. 30 is 2 times 3 times 5, and 17 is prime. So that means this fraction is reduced. So you always want to try to reduce the fraction. That's a given. Okay, let's do one more, but let's do one with 3 numbers, where we need to add 3 numbers, and then we will conclude our little review here. So let's do 1/4 plus 4/5 plus 9/10. So here we have 3 fractions, and in order to add all 3 of them, we need a common denominator. Now it's easier just to find one. We could add both of these at once and then find a common denominator twice, but it's easier just to find the common denominator once. So let's do that. We have 4, 5, and 10. 4 is 2 times 2. 5 is prime, which is just 5. And 10 is 2 times 5. So let's see. 2 is used the most twice right here. So the LCM is 2 times 2. And then 5 is just used once. So the LCM is 4 times 5, which is 20. All right, so now we're going to build all these fractions up so that our denominator is 20. What do I multiply 4 by to give me 20? 5. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 5 and 1 times 5. And this first fraction is going to become 5 over 20. Now again, what do I multiply 5 by to get 20? 5 times 4 is 20. So this becomes 4 times 4, which is 16 over 20. And what do I multiply 10 by? The easiest one, 2. And that gives us 18 over 20. All right, so now we're going to add the numerators. 5 and 16 is 21. And 21 and 18 is 39, I believe. 21 and 18 is 39 over 20. And 39 is 3. Let's reduce this fraction if we can. 39 is 3 times 13, and 20, again, is this right here, so we don't have to find that prime factorization again. So there's no common factors, so this is reduced, but we can make it a mixed number instead of an improper fraction. And 20 goes into 39 once with the remainder of 19. So we can rewrite this as 1 and 19/20. Okay, that's going to do it for adding and subtracting fractions. If you feel that you need any extra tutoring over this review, please feel free to contact me, and maybe we can work some tutoring time out. The next lecture, we're going to dive into the first chapter, and it is going to discuss variables and expressions, and we're going to get right into algebra. I look forward to seeing you then. Until then, thank you for watching.